Hi, my name is Nanika Edwards, and I'm a poet from Trinidad and Tobago in the Southern Caribbean. Today, I wanted to share a video about alliteration. Alliteration is one of the tools that I use when I'm writing poetry. And what is alliteration? Do you know? Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds, initial consonant sounds in close succession. Alliteration is when you have consonant sounds at the start of two or more words in close succession, or coming one after the other, or being close to each other, maybe one word apart or two words apart, but very close to each other in a line. So that's called alliteration. For example, if we look at this poem called Flamingos, we can find alliteration in each line. Well, in practically every line or throughout the poem. So this is how it goes. Flamingos flapping, frolic in flaming fuchsia flushed feathers, fandango, flamenco with finesse. Fine fun to footing follow, festive. So we can see that in this poem, when I used alliteration, I used it by repeating the sound of the letter F in each line. And so really, in this case, it's just one letter, and that's the letter F. Now, of course, if for example, I used another combination of letters that creates the same F sound, but without the letter F, that would still count as alliteration. For example, can you think of other words that start with the F sound without the letter F? Correct. If you have PH, for example, like PH in phone, then you could get the letter F. So for example, if I said flamingos on phones frolic in flaming fuchsia flushed feathers, etc., etc., that would still be alliteration, because the important thing is not necessarily the letter, but the sound. So in this case, the prominent sound is a f sound of the letter F. In this case, all the F sounds are coming from the letter F. As you can see, the F sounds are close to each other. In the first line, it's the first two words. They both start with the letter F. In the second line, there's only one word out of the 6 words that doesn't start with the letter F. In the third line, we have 3 words that start with the letter F and 1 that doesn't. In the fourth line, we have 4 words that start with the letter F and 1 that doesn't. And the final line has a word that starts with the letter F. So as you can see, this whole poem is based on alliteration. Now, usually when poets use alliteration, they usually use it in combination with other poetic devices. So alliteration is a poetic device or a trick or a tool that writers or poets use to make their writing come alive, or to make it a little more interesting, to season it with something that makes listening to the poem or reading the poem enjoyable for readers and listeners. Now, why do we do that? Well, think about it like this. If you go to a restaurant and order, let's say you order lasagna. You could order lasagna, or let's say you order pizza. Let's say pizza. Okay, I'm going with Italian food. So you order pizza, and this pizza is just plain pizza with cheese, right? Just a plain cheese pizza. Now that can be delicious and it can be enjoyable, but you can make it even more palatable, more delicious by adding bacon or sweet pepper, mushrooms, maybe even corn or salami and things like that. That makes it extra interesting for your taste buds, right? So that's what alliteration is like. Now, alliteration, I think, makes writing feel very playful because the repetition of the consonant sound is very playful, I think, and I'm a very playful person. So I have noticed that I do use alliteration a lot. I love the sound of words when they echo sound, you know. I love the sound of repeating the sounds of letters in close succession. It's very, very playful. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you only use alliteration in a fun or funny poem. You can use alliteration in serious poems as well, and it just gives your expression and your descriptions that extra punch. But one thing is for sure, I do use alliteration in fun and funny poems because it is just playful. And the other thing is, when you use poetic devices, and alliteration is one of them, it makes language a lot more memorable. It's easy to remember and it's easy to enjoy. So it's both easy to enjoy and easy to remember. So this is why writers and poets use poetic devices. So I hope that you learned a thing or two about alliteration.